Hello!
Hello!
Welcome everyone, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, streamers, welcome to the Sounds of Stadia team in our new studio, fully kitted out with a big green curtain behind us. If you're joining us from StadiaCast, just over live with Bill and Lloyd, hopefully you've enjoyed their content for the last 2 hours. If you are new to the channel, my name's Chris, I'm one of your hosts. Joined by my two co-hosts on the floating couch over here. We've got Tom to my immediate left, and just past him with the lovely beard over there, we've got Richard as well.
It's a very nice hot couch.
It's a very nice floating couch, yes.
It is.
So if you're joining us, surely you're taking part in the Sounds of Stadia podcast with us, alongside the Stadia Super Saturday event that's been running for 24 hours, gentlemen. I think we're up to our... 10? Who knows?
It's at 9, so it's 10 hours.
Yeah, 10
hours.
hours.
My maths is on point.
Almost halfway there.
I can tell the time. But speaking of time, you guys are going to be joining us for the next 3 hours as we do a mixture of our very first live podcast, episode number 21. If you don't know much about us already, check us out over on all podcast platforms. We come to you on YouTube as well with interim streams and other such content. But basically, yeah, we like to talk about Stadia. It's new to everyone, pretty much. None of us are that clued up on it. We try and do our best. But like the rest of the community, we are passionate about this technology. And hopefully you're going to join us over the next 3 hours to enjoy some of its content, essentially.
Pretty much.
In a nutshell. So we have got a few little fun bits dotted in. If you're tuning in the chat, by all means, join in. Send us your questions. We do have a special segment of the podcast set aside and dedicated to that. We have a competition on the go as well. If you've been watching the 24-hour content so far, you'll be well aware that there's been competition sprinkled throughout, so we'll give you a bit more news on that as the show goes on. But if you're not familiar with us, we pretty much do a weekly podcast centered around all the news stories to do with Stadia and the wider world of gaming. So we're pretty much going to bring that to you live right now. So if you like what you see over the next hour or so, by all means, check us out on the podcast platforms. Go back and check out our previous library. But we are all new to this. I do want to point that out. If you're expecting some absolute cutting-edge professionalism, you've came to the wrong place. However, if you're looking for three passionate guys from England bringing you the best Stadia has to offer, then we are your people. So, join us in the chat. You want to say that, Tom?
I do.
You lean forward excitedly.
First point of call right here is that I'm noticing people in chat are talking about the echo as well. So I'm going to try and edit this on the fly. We are still in the process of upgrading tech. You know, we're new to this, but we're trying. So Richie and I are using a separate mic, a bit of a different mic than I'm normally used to. So I'm going to try my best to keep this going on the fly to give you the best possible quality we can. Bear with us, but really, you're here for the news. Let's talk about it. Should we crack on with it?
Exactly, yeah. So we might as well, we'll put a quick pin in that. We'll pause there. We'll come to you live with, welcome everybody, to episode 21 of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. As I mentioned, my name is Chris. I'm joined by Tom and Richie on the couch over here.
Hello.
If you're unsure why we sound different this time, it's because we are on a live stream. For a 24-hour event. If you've not heard of it, you've been living under a rock. It's been plastered over Twitter and YouTube. But essentially, today is all about you lovely people tuning in with us live. So for the first time around the globe, we can actually take your questions and comments as the day ticks over. But first, we always like to start off with a particular segment. Tom, you'll introduce that for us, I'm sure, as the...
I shall. Should we switch over to it?
Yes, certainly. Let's go.
All right. With the power of technology, guys, bringing to you live... We are going over to the super sexy Stadia story segment, aka
The news!
It's a bloody miracle.
I wish I had a bottle of champagne.
That's it. We finally got it in sync.
Retire now.
Potentially, yeah. We always try that on the audio podcast, and it fails because we're not in the same room together. So we always try and say news at the same time. Hopefully you sang along at home if you're a veteran of our show. But essentially, yes, we go straight to the news. So, number one story we've got up, we've got some new games. So, just to start off with, we got Splittlings, which we've been excited about for a while, Tom.
Yeah, we do.
So just to give you a rundown, if you're not familiar with Splittlings and you are watching along at home, there's some video play above us in the mysterious ether. Splittlings, so what we know about that is, here's the rundown. You know what the problem with multiplayer games is, right? The other players.
All right.
It's always their fault if you lose.
Yeah, it's never us. It's never
We've
us.
got the perfect game to blame your friends for their incapability. Splitlings. This action arcade chaos game for up to 4 players is a modern take on the hardcore classics. You're in control of a Splitling, a charming rectangular creature with teeth. It can spit or use to jump. Makes no sense? Who cares? It's fun. And that is, I quite like that rundown. That's quite a nice, playful rundown of what looks like quite a fun, playful game.
What? This is the game. As simple as it is, I'm looking forward to jumping in with you two and just letting the chaos ensue.
Yeah, I think once again it's one of these titles that we've been quite vocal about on social media, talking about our excitement for these sort of like small indie titles that are actually going to sort of mix up the market a little bit, because we've always sort of said that there's a lot of shooting games on Stadia at the moment, and it'd be nice to actually finally get to mix it up a little bit and have some of these party games that we can actually enjoy and sit down. You know, for what Stadia is, we need a bit more couch co-op, a bit of couch competitive, and I think this is the kind of game that will actually, you know, bring some fun to Stadia.
Yeah, and who doesn't like a blocky square with a bunch of teeth and colourful chompers to play around with? So from what we've seen from the video, if we just loop back a little bit, let that play again, pretty much looks like a lot of the games, if any of you played the PlayStation indie games that have came out, there's a lot of ones that dropped on there, which I think this type of couch co-op, if anyone's familiar with like Overcooked, stuff like that, it's great. If anyone's a retro gamer out there as well, getting down with your friends and actually playing just four couch people, it's always a bit of fun. It looks a bit like a mixture of like Dig Dug with what's that Ascension game on PlayStation? Something Ascension or Sending or something. We all have little bow and arrows. If you know in the chat, let us know. Towerfall Ascension. That's the one. It reminds me of something like that where it's all chaos going on. But a little bit fun. We don't want to spend too long talking about Splitlings, but I know we've tried to reach out to the developers of that game. We're hopefully gonna jump in and play a little bit of that.
Spitlings, not splitlings.
I thought it was Split.
Spitlings. It's been Spitlings from day one.
Spitlings. Maybe they've changed their name. Autocorrect did keep questioning me on that, but I thought, hey,
well, there you
Spitlings
go.
isn't
Now
the
we've got a
word either.
reason why.
Apologies for the incorrect name. Like I said, we're not professionals, so and apparently I can't read very well or spell. So
we still don't have a date yet for it though. We know it's
That
coming
is
soon,
true.
but we don't know when soon. So
yeah.
They wouldn't tell us. We tried.
we tried.
So-
We did try asking.
So these 5 games, yeah, we've got 5 in the pipeline. We've been clambering for games as a community, as a platform base out there. We got our initial launch games. They've dropped us 1 or 2 big games over the last couple of weeks. But I think the fervour on Twitter and on the rest of the internet was quite high when these dropped. Even though, yes, some people out there weren't too keen on them because they're not AAA games. But the reality was, every platform out there fleshes out the library with these independent games. And places like Nintendo Switch, PC community especially, have flourished over the last couple of years with indie titles. I know PlayStation 4, when that launched, that was pretty much chock-a-block with small little independent games that you can mess around and have fun with. So speaking of independent games, then we'll move on to the second title we got, which was Lost Words. Not Worlds, Words. I won't make that mistake again.
Got it right, ladies and gents.
So looking at this one, I'll give you the rundown of their narrative as well. So we've got Beyond the Page is a narrative-driven, atmospheric puzzler set inside the pages of a young girl's diary, following an immersive story by renowned games writer Rhianna Pratchett. Players guide an aspiring author through the wondrous fantasy world of Astoria, where weird worlds with immense power collide.
Yeah, the one thing I want to point out is anyone called Pratchett, always a good writer.
Yeah. I think this one looks pretty epic, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I watched the trailer the other day and I was like, I'm actually excited for this. It looks like it could be a very fun, story-driven game, and I like these sort of small, contained stories.
It gives me sort of vibes of like games like Limbo and Ori and the Blind Forest and things like that. And I think, I mean, look at it alone. The credibility of it right there is fantastic. So yeah, bring it to Stadia. This is going to be I think this is going to be a day one pickup for me as well, probably.
Probably for me as well.
It's got me intrigued. It's got an element of Journey to it, whoever's played Journey. It's got an element of... I'm trying to think what game it'd be. Concrete Genie on PlayStation 4, where so you're kind of collecting story pages, trying to drive like kind of really focused in story on obviously this young girl's life and going through a fantasy world as well. But you're right, Richard. Anyone named Pratchett who's into writing clearly knows what they're doing. Looks quite fantasy, whimsical, bit of fun. Again, very much an indie game, playing on almost like the Limbo-esque shadow details and the use of colour palettes and creating a bit more of an artistic vibe as opposed to realistic graphics, which I think we've came to see with indie games. But yeah, interesting. Looks like there's definitely going to be story beats, epic journey embarking on it there. don't know if it's necessarily fully in my wheelhouse just yet. I don't know if I'm more intrigued by it because it's one of small 5 games that have came out. But we'll see what the reviews are like. Obviously, it's critically acclaimed, judging by all the awards that popped up on screen right then. Best of E3. So it's doing quite a lot. But yeah, so that's another one to run down. Again, we don't know too much about these indie games. That's the problem when they're not AAA titles, is they don't get much kind of marketing push on them. If you look at the Twitter accounts, they're usually a couple of hundred to 1,000 followers at best. So getting their message of what the game's actually about out there is sometimes quite difficult. So
Google have actually been quite good at this because they have their YouTube channel, which they're always, every time a game released, the trailer's gone on their YouTube channel, so you have that one place to find it. So I think indies are getting tracked by Google pretty much the same as AAAs.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's nice to finally actually get these indie titles because I think it's something that we have been missing. We're definitely advocates over here, and I think it's something that we really want to see more of. So now to finally get these announcements for the next few games, it's fantastic. This is what we're after, right?
Yeah, more games is better. Whether they're AAA or independent, again, you want that bigger library. So when you want something to play, maybe it's in between large open world titles, you've got those palette cleansers almost to just kind of tick over nicely. And they usually don't come with a massive budget. I don't know about you, but all these new games that have been announced, I don't expect to break the bank for many people. Moving on then, we've got the next game, which is aptly named Stacks on Stacks on Stacks on Stacks on Stacks.
Looks like a fun little kids game, doesn't it? Really?
On Stacks?
It's a lot of stacks.
On stacks? I'm not sure how many stacks I think they are. I think it's 3. Stacks on stacks on stacks on stacks. I'll stop saying stacks now. But in regards to gameplay, yes, quite quirky. Little block puzzler game, messing around. Don't know what is up with that banana, by the way. He's clearly been through a lot in his life. Yeah, looks quite whimsical again. Thoughts on this one, you two? I think this is the...
To be honest, I'm actually quite indifferent to it. It doesn't... I think it could be a bit of fun, but it's nothing that's really jumping out at me at the moment. It depends on the price or something. If it's quite cheap, it might be fun to just play around with, but I'm not excited by it.
Yeah, this is my least favourite of the announcements. I don't know whether it's the title doesn't quite grab me. I don't know why they just didn't stop at stacks on stacks.
Yeah, I think there's a general consensus of things like that as well. I mean, it's out of the announcements, it's probably my least liked as well. But it does look, again, like the kind of party game you might pick up. But I think for this one in particular, price is key for it.
£2.99.
You reckon?
No, I think it'll be a little bit more like that style. I mean, to give you a rundown like the other games as well, as it's only fair. Stacks on Stacks on Stacks is a zany 3D tower builder. Plays the master stacker, Rocket, who must use her psychic helmet to clean up the colourful bricks falling all over her madcap world.
All right.
There's that dry thought. I mean, there's a crazy dolphin. There's some kind of wiggly worm with a wrecking ball.
Over the top zany narrative. Just stick an over top zany narrative in there.
It's like reverse Jenga.
Yeah, reverse Jenga.
Reverse Jenga, the game.
Yeah. I mean, that character there with the wrecking ball hanging out of his mouth, some kind of worm creature. It's one of those games where, as much as we lambast it for what it looks like, I guarantee if you jumped in couch co-op, you'd probably have a good laugh. Especially if you were drunk.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But we'll see. It may be your pro game for March, everybody. Beware. Be wary. Hopefully not. But anyway, I don't mean to drag too much attention towards that. Just not my particular cyber game. If we're moving on to the next one, we've got some probably bigger titles I'd class.
Oh, yeah.
Tom's excited for this one.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got the Serious Sam collection as well. So technically not one game coming to Stadia, but multiple ones. So to give you a rundown of this one, we've got Step into the Shoes of the legendary action hero Sam Serious Stone. SSS. Where have we heard that before today?
Where have we heard that, SSS?
So Sam Serious Stone, aka StadiaSuperSaturday, experienced one of the most explosive shooter game series of all time as you save the world from a merciless alien invasion. Visit the ruins of ancient Egypt and roam through the vivid arenas of South America, fighting seemingly never-ending hordes of enemies, using an extremely destructive arsenal including shotguns, heavy lasers, rocket launchers, a huge cannon, and an iconic minigun. Serious Sam Collection includes all of the content from Serious Sam HD, the first encounter, Serious Sam HD, the second encounter, Serious Sam 3... What do you guess the title is, gentlemen?
The final encounter?
No, it's BFE, whatever that stands for. And including the Legend of the Beast and the Jewel of the Nile expansions. So we are getting essentially 3 games remastered, all the DLC, as is often seen with collections. Tom, why are you excited about this one?
Why am I excited? Serious Sam was a type of fun shooting. It's sort of like got this Doom vibe to it, but it's also quite colourful. It's sort of like a mix for me between sort of like Doom stroke Borderlands in a way. It's just very creative, very over the top, just mad action really. And I think for me, it's nice to finally get those games in once again. Yes, okay, it's another shooter, and again, you know how I feel about that. But
He doesn't like them.
yeah, I'm not a massive fan, but it is something that I did used to play when I was younger, and I'm pretty sure we called this actually like way long ago. I said something along the lines of it'd be nice to see something like Serious Sam come across. So, hey,
Read the tea leaves.
I like the fact it's a collection for these older titles. I think it's always nice to be able to jump in. It makes me wonder, will they be coming out with Serious Sam 4?
Yeah, almost like testing the water. Exclusive to Stadia.
maybe
Serious
Who knows?
Stadia Sam.
I'm not going to say that far because, I mean, it could be.
I'll be honest, prior to seeing this video, I knew of the name, knew nothing about the game. I don't know how it's eluded me in all my gaming history. Apologies out there and in the chat if you're a massive Serious Sam fan. What platforms was it on? Because I genuinely...
PC.
That makes
Well, I mean,
that
I
might be
definitely
why.
played it on PC. I'm not sure what else it actually came to, but it was definitely on PC
Yeah.
originally.
It's in my Steam library.
It's in it isn't everything in everyone's Steam library. But yeah, the reality is, I don't know whether me being more of a console-centric gamer, when I played PC, mine was always like The Sims or Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Right, okay.
So I never ventured into that kind of that Half-Life world, all that Orange Box stuff that I know PC gamers are big up on. So yeah, seriously, I can't picture the box art or anything. Whereas usually when you picture your old electronics boutique, your GameStop in America, your Walmart shelf, I can't picture this box art whatsoever.
No, I think one thing to take away from this as well is actually we can get some split-screen co-op going on here as well. 4-player, on a single screen, because they're older titles. Yes, okay, like they've sort of been remastered slightly. But once again, I think it's nice to have this idea that Stadia and the team over at Stadia are thinking about the idea of like reinvigorating.
You could.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Why not? I said split screens earlier on. I'm just
But
made
yeah,
a
we're
word up.
looking at bringing back couch co-op in that way there.
Yeah, Couch Co-op, it's one of them things. It's a shame. Apart from the indie scene, it's kind of died. It'd be nice to see a resurgence in some way.
But I think we're starting to see a lot of that with things like, Mortal Kombat, some of these party games that are coming out, Spitlings, the Serious Sam collection with four-player couch co-op as well, Trials Rising. We're seeing a lot of games out here now that are starting to sort of focus on providing people with the opportunity to play some couch co-op again.
Yeah. So I mean, from what I've seen in the video, it looks like a mixture of Doom / GoldenEye almost, all like merged together with some kind of alien.
It's a little bit over the top. I think the other game I could probably compare it to a little bit is like Dead Rising. Slightly,
okay.
In that sort of like loads and loads, tons of enemies, but really sort of over the top with explosions and color and so on there as well. So I think
got
that's
almost
pretty
a
good comparison.
Duke Nukem vibe.
Definitely,
That's what I'm
definitely.
getting. Yeah, lots of explosions, and there in the picture there is his. I presume that's his favorite minigun weapon that they alluded to in the brief. His iconic minigun.
The iconic
It's
minigun.
massive.
Has it got a name?
Who knows?
Trevor. Trevor the
Dave.
iconic
Trevor the
minigun.
Dave.
Trevor the minigun. Excellent. So big hype for that. And as you mentioned, Richie, 3 games in 1 is fantastic. And if it is testing the water for future games, remember with these 5, that means there is 115 more games to go coming to Stadia in
Fantastic.
2020,
Does this
according
count as
to
3 games or 1 though in Google's?
1 as a title.
One.
1. If you were to package it up, it would be 1 SKU.
Okay.
So yes, I'd say 1. It'd be very. I'm sure the backlash would be immense if they came out and went, oh, that 120 games, actually, that collection we brought out in March was in actually 3 or 4. We count the DLC as a game too. Then it gets very risky business from the Google overlords at that
So
point.
before we move on, Chris, just noticing a lot of people in chat are talking about there's a bit of echo going on with the microphones right now. So I'm just going to make a very quick change to the audio setup just so we can try to alleviate that so we don't have another issue. So what I'm thinking instead actually is if we bring this microphone in a bit. This is going to be fun for Chris. This is going to be really fun for Chris.
Why is that?
Just so we can actually sort of pick ourselves up with this mic as well. So give me 2 moments.
Is the audio really that bad? So bad. Oh. If you tune in, if you can still hear me anyway, tune into our podcast where we record smoothly in high definition audio.
So we're just going to do a quick audio test right here. So it sounds like you can pick me up looking at the audio levels. And if Richie just speaks as well for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's your prompt, Richie. That's your prompt to start speaking. All right, okay. So I think we'll go with this, if that's all right with you, Chris.
Yeah, my back can cope with it.
Yeah.
Fine. Good. All right, so should we move on to what I think might be my most anticipated game, quite possibly.
Well, Stacks and Stacks and Stacks wasn't.
The sequel, more stacks.
Maybe. What's next, Chris? What's next?
So next final game out of our 5, just to wrap it up, we go into Panzer Dragoon.
You have no idea.
I really don't. This is another game that's eluded me somehow. I do play games. Anyone just joining us? I'm a massive gamer. I've got 95 platinums on PlayStation, so
all of them Call of Duty.
all of them free indie games. No, I do play a lot of games just to drive home that message. But Tom evidently has been on a totally different road to me.
Look at it. It is a masterpiece. It is the life and breath of like the Star Fox series. It's a rail shooter, and it was a huge title on the Sega Saturn. Of all consoles to remember and think back to, Sega Saturn. I am massively excited for this game. You have no idea how excited I am for this.
I'm very curious. My cousin had this on Sega Saturn, so I've played a little bit of it originally, but not a lot.
Yeah.
And it was always great fun then, so...
I can sense it in your voice, to be honest, Tom. So to give anyone like myself who's unaware, I'll give a rundown of the Panzer Dragoon. Is it Dragoon?
Dragoon.
Dragoon.
Yes, it is. Panzer Dragoon.
A new remade version of Panzer Dragoon game, true to the original with improved graphics and controls, that sweet modern gaming standards suit. There's an E in there, not sweet, modern gaming standards. On a far lone planet, you encounter 2 dragons, not dragoons, dragons, awakened from an ancient time. Armed with a deadly gun from the past and the guidance of your armed blue dragon, you must fulfill your destiny and keep the prototype dragon from reaching the tower or die trying. A lot of dragons with guns, apparently. So what's the rundown? So you mentioned it's similar to Star Fox. That's the vibe I got straight away.
Yeah, definitely.
It's on rail shooter on a dragon. What more do you need to know?
Yeah. So essentially, you are a person who is. I mean, you are riding on the back of a dragon. There is a story to it, but it is a rail shooter. It is very much sort of like the kind of thing you would expect to see in an arcade, possibly. So like you're on a fixed rail running through the level. You control your movement with one stick around the screen, and the other analog stick, I imagine, you're actually using to target things on the screen while you're shooting as well. I remember having a hell of a lot of fun with this as a kid, and I actually, for what it's worth, I actually had no idea this was even coming out, like remastered. I don't know. I must have been living under a rock, because if that was at E3 2019, what the hell was I doing?
Yeah.
I'd heard of it because, as you might have just saw, those who were watching live, that it was actually announced for Nintendo. So I was surprised when it came to Stadia.
Yeah, I mean, is there a ripple to this then that we could read into a bit more? So, as you mentioned there, Tom, it's E3 2019.
Yeah.
So
right.
Nintendo have got this. It's coming out on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting enough, if you're watching the Sounds of Stadia live stream on the YouTube channel right now, you'll notice the video keeps clipping at the end to the Nintendo E3 presentation. The reason for that is, out of all the 5 game announcements, 4 trailers were accessible and promoted on Stadia's YouTube channel. This one was not. Hence the Nintendo E3 2019.
Okay.
So without any cross-promotion or branding, was this game originally being made for the Nintendo Switch, and Stadia have had a conversation there to also port it to Stadia, and that's why legally they're not allowed to push it on their YouTube
I
channel.
wonder if it's just one that they haven't got Stadia branding on it. They've maybe got the deal, let's just push it straight away.
Well, surely you just take out the
it might never
start.
have been Switch exclusive, but might have only been Nintendo showed interest.
Okay. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes?
I could see on the Switch the Nintendo wouldn't put motion controls in.
Right. Okay.
They've done that before with Star Fox.
So, just get your tinfoil hats on there. It'd be interesting to see, again, because ideal world at the moment with Stadia, Switch is the perfect handheld. So if Stadia came to Switch, I'm just reading far too much into that there now, but could you imagine a world where Stadia and Panzer Dragoon was the thing that built the bridge to connect it, and you can get Stadia on the Nintendo Switch? cloud gaming to your Switch, because Nintendo's infrastructure, as we've mentioned in previous episodes, is the least solid platform.
Very unlikely Nintendo.
Oh, I know. I'm totally blue sky thinking here, but
that'd be great. I'd love it.
could you imagine?
I'd love
Could
to
you
make my
imagine?
Switch a Stadia machine.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a good way of accessing it if it's not on your phone.
It reminds me of the UFO that we were talking about a couple months back.
Right, the Alienware, yeah.
I thought you meant an actual UFO then. No, I was thinking I don't.
Who made it again?
I don't recall this
It was
conversation.
Alienware, wasn't it?
The Alienware UFO. Yeah, the rip-off.
Oh, the knockoff
I
Switch.
thought that'd be a cool portable Stadia machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, it was at the CES Consumer Electronics Roadshow in Vegas.
The one thing I do want to say, like before we move on, is like looking at those 5 games right there. I think this is the prime opportunity right here to take a look at them. And other than Serious Sam, which again, it brings its own element to it, but I think the other 4 titles right there are very unique in the library. Like there's not a lot else that competes with them, and they're all very distinctive titles as well. So it adds to sort of like this category or this library of games where we don't have a lot of variety, but now with these titles right here, I think we're starting to see a broader scope of games moving forwards.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's a good start. They've announced 120 games. He's 5, all of them very different.
Yeah.
Let's see what comes next.
All right.
Again,
cool.
more games. If you were to choose one, gentlemen, that you would, if you could only play one, I think I know your answer, Tom.
I don't need to say anything.
Is it Stacks on Stacks on Stacks?
You know it.
Damn right.
You know it is.
Richie?
I'm actually going to go with Lost Words.
Okay.
Lost
I think
Words.
I do like these sort of like niche story games, and I think it'd be very interesting.
There is a dragoon in it. Or a dragon.
A dragoon.
Dragoon.
Yeah.
Mine, from what we've seen there, I'm excited to play Spitlings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now we know the correct name. In terms of the one I'm probably most excited for, those I would play would probably be Serious Sam. From what I've seen of the trailers, the one that's grabbed me the most is the Serious Sam one.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's more familiar with what I'm used to seeing. Again, Stadia's conditioned me to think shooters are the be-all, end-all, as that's what we've got a lot of.
Let us know in chat as well what you think out of those 5 games is going to be your day one purchase for it as well. Panzer Dragoon is absolutely a 100% day one purchase for me. Spitlings as well. I mean, I've shared a lot of love on social media for Spitlings. Lost Words. I feel like the 3. If I have to pick 3, it's got to be Lost Words, Panzer Dragoon, Spitlings. If I had to pick 1, definitely Panzer Dragoon. Definitely.
If you had to pick 5, which 5 would it be?
Well, that doesn't count. Does that count for Serious Sam 1, 2, and 3?
You could.
3 times.
That is very true.
Yeah,
but I think the key thing to take away from this is 5 games. They're new in their own right, coming to Stadia. We don't have a date, frustratingly enough. It seems again that it's great they're getting out there with that message. We're now ticking over into the middle of February.
I feel Spitlings is going to be soon, though.
It should be on the cusp. But again, 120 games. We're another month down almost.
Yeah.
And what was going to work out at about 10 odd games a month, we're slowly but surely getting in that territory where we're going to be seeing group drops like this potentially. Yeah. And if they're smart, surely they're going to stagger the release. They're not going to all drop at the 27th of February or something. They're going to have to spit them up. They're going to have to spit them up. Or stack them or something like that. They're going to have to do some kind of connotation of these words.
I feel like this coming soon thing should now be trademarked to Stadia and to Google. Like they should literally just put coming soon trademark.
Well, Google Stadia is still kind of coming soon.
Yeah, it sort of goes hand in hand with the platform, really, doesn't it? So but.
Should we get a bit of feedback in from the chat then, see what other people are looking forward to playing? So from what I can see up there, we've got Megatron X, you're saying the Lost Words for you, so just like Richie. Who else have we got? Ashes, Panzer and Serious Sam for sure. Serious Sam, no doubt. Serious Sam, big words. Spitlings, Descender 1976. I think you'll find it's called Splitling. No, it's not. And Panzer Dragoon again. Who have we got? Else in the chat who's watching along. Yeah, Serious Sam's getting a lot of love.
Yeah, I think the winner's definitely Serious Sam from the chat.
Yeah, okay.
Seems to.
Okay.
That's the horse I'd back.
Panzer and
I think a game like Panzer has got it's got a very niche following. Again, it's these sort of like Nintendo lovers, or maybe people who used to be Sega fans, used to be like big into Sega, particularly with the Saturn, because we know the Saturn didn't do. In terms of marketing, it didn't do that well compared to other platforms it was competing against. But I do feel like Panzer does have a very distinct audience as well, and it sort of also feels a little bit more towards the people who are bigger on like Japanese titles as opposed to sort of like westernized titles as well.
I really wish we'd had. Speaking of Sega, I really wish we'd had Sonic.
I feel like it's coming.
I really do as well.
I really do, because we know that, again, a long time ago that Stadia started following Sega on Twitter. Now, I know that means literally nothing. That could mean anything.
No, the best
right?
friends. The best friends. If you're friends on Twitter...
Oh, yeah. Means everything, right?
Yeah.
Means everything. But I do feel like the Sonic titles, at some point, we will see them on Stadia.
Yeah, part 1, 2, 3, Knuckles as a single collection, and give me Sonic Mania as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mania would be a good addition.
It's a shame they missed the movie tie-in just to drive it home.
Missed that window.
But yeah. So in other news, then we've got. So moving on from our 5 games, Tom, this is big news for you.
Yes, it is.
Anyone who was watching the stream before us, StadiaCast, as I mentioned, Bill and Lloyd, they were wrapping up their stream playing some Borderlands 3. We got some really, really good, rich Stadia news this week. Tom, if you're new to the channel again, Tom is our residential Borderlands fan. Played through them all. Quite often streams them. If you check out our YouTube channel, you've done 3 streams now for Borderlands.
Yeah, 3 streams, including the original one that that all of us joined in together with. And then there was a 2-parter that I did a couple of weeks ago as well.
Well, yeah, so just to give us a rundown then. So the latest update brings, this week, came on the day before Valentine's Day. We got the Broken Hearts Day event, which tied into Valentine's Day. We got some key updates such as skippable cutscenes. The A-level cap was raised to 53. We got the takedown mode and much, much more. So one of the key, I think, events that they dropped that finally brings us up to date with PlayStation 4. This was the Moxie heist. From the Handsome Jackpot.
That's right.
Takedown of the, how would you say that?
The Malawan Black Site.
Malawan Black Site. And some other quality of life improvements. So do you want to expand on that, Tom?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. When Borderlands came out to Stadia, we were very much sort of like left in the dust a little bit in terms of the updates and so on. By the time that Borderlands 3 launched on Stadia, there were also big bug fixes, hot fixes and so on to do general improvement to the game for consoles and for PC. Now, none of those updates actually dropped to Stadia when they came. We literally had like the day 1 release of Borderlands 3. So there were some performance issues, but none to the extent that I've seen on console. Those of you watching in chat at the moment, I used to play Borderlands 3 on PS4, and there were a lot of issues with the menu, for example. Like the menu system on console was sluggish as shit, like literally awful.
There's too much going on, wasn't there?
There's nothing more annoying than sluggish menus.
Yeah, so you open the menu and you're literally waiting like 10 seconds for it to fully load, and then you move to a new part of the UI, and it takes again an extra 3 seconds just to change over because it's so choppy and shitty.
Just too animated, wasn't it? There's too much going on within the menu screen.
But on PC that was never an issue, and the release on Stadia also never an issue. But some of those, that aside, there were other issues as well within the game, things like balances to the classes and so on as well, reworks of certain skills and certain attributes within the game. But most importantly, I think, was the fact that we had none of the endgame content that was released to console. So with the February update, which dropped on Thursday the 13th, so the Thursday just gone, we received, as you said, the Broken Hearts brand new seasonal event, day and date, same as console. We also received all of the bug fixes, all the hot fixes that we were expecting since day 1. We've received finally the end game content, which is the takedown at the Malawan Black Site, which has now been modified as well to almost just like match your group size and match your level as well. So it's now sort of like an ultimate end goal to try to find. It's always got an increasing manic difficulty to it as well. But I think one of the things that's quite important for everyone as well is, particularly for those of you with the season pass, and correct me if I'm wrong here, anyone in chat, but the Moxie's heist of the Handsome Jackpot is one of the first big DLC campaigns that comes with Borderlands 3. Now, I'm not sure whether it falls as part of the actual season pass, considered as, you know, one of the additional campaigns, the additional scenarios for it, but it is one that has now finally come. So there's a whole new mission set alongside the main campaign that has now been added. So finally, I've got a load of things to do now. I've just got a ton more things to do, which is brilliant.
I assume it is part of the season pass.
I'd expect so.
It'd be weird if to have a season pass and not have the first major DLC and not be part of it.
Yeah.
I think the saving grace of all this is that it brings it up to date with other consoles. So no longer is Stadia one or two, several weeks or months behind. So going forward, you would like to think that all future content drops and updates, they're also going to be patched in the exact same day.
Yeah.
Well, I think I said a few months ago what I thought they were probably doing is because they have to send the game off to licensing. They probably sent the initial build, then obviously they've continued working on dropping content for the PlayStation, Xbox and PC versions. And they probably, when they looked at the time frames, like, we've got this new DLC dropping in February, let's just update it all at the same time.
I think one thing that's really important to identify at this point as well during the show is that Borderlands 3 is on sale right now.
Yeah.
So it was literally just put on sale the other day. So I would suggest those of you who haven't played it yet, and those of you who do like shooting games and like a little bit of fun, bit of comedy, get it.
It's great.
It is. It's a hell of a lot of fun, especially if you find some friends to play it with as well. I think the more people you play it with, the more fun you can actually have.
Shoot some skags.
Shoot them skags.
Borderlands priced at the moment, it's down to £25.
It is down to 25
for UK people. And we've also got, we might as well mention it, it's part of the pro deals as well. NBA 2K20 is also down to £20, which actually makes it cheaper than the PlayStation Store. And I presume the other stores as well. Not by much, but by a little bit. So it's there to promote it, I'd imagine, to tie in with the updates.
Do you still feel like the Stadia Store's pricing and sales and stuff seems somewhat random?
Yeah.
To a certain extent. Just to confirm, I can see in the shop that the Moxie's Heist is additional DLC, so it should be part of the Season Pass as far as I'm aware.
It's a very bad move if a Season Pass doesn't include future content.
Yeah.
But I know the caveat is if it does better, they tend to add more. So I'd imagine the first one, yes. If they reach them, maybe it's 3 agreed upon ones and then more comes out. Again, I could imagine they'd honour it. But I think just the fact that we're now all nicely tied up in with the other platforms, that's the best thing going forward for Borderlands.
Fantastic.
Any plans to stream it in the future, Tom?
I think so. I think watch this space. You know, I'll probably announce another stream on Twitter as soon as I get around to it. We'll see.
Lug all of your PC back
trying
home.
to catch up.
He is. He's trying his hardest to catch up to me at the moment. So I haven't been on for probably about a week now because I've just been really busy with work. But I know, Richie, you're making a really good effort to try to catch up. So I might sort of extend that period of not playing a little bit further there, really.
Yeah. And there's a few people in the chat as well bringing up crossplay and cross save, which I think you're completely right. D. Werner and Charles Orand. Certainly, I think that's the biggest thing for a lot of people. I know, Tom, you started on PlayStation 4.
Yes.
I know Dan spoke about it multiple times on StadiaSource. He's got an entirely, I think, full playthrough and high-level cap set on his Xbox.
Yeah.
That it does limit people from migrating over, but I think Stadia have said, and I think a lot of other platforms have, is that it's down to the developers to,
of course it is.
to get this kind of...
The weird thing is Gearbox have also said that they like crossplay. So I don't know why it's not there. There's maybe some technical issues in the background that they're working on.
Okay.
Or not working on, you don't know.
Yeah, it's very much a finger blame game at the moment where everyone just doesn't want to take ownership of this problem and say, look, we're going to fix it, here's a date.
Yeah. With Borderlands specifically, it just seems like both Google and Gearbox are going, yeah, we want this crossplay.
Yeah.
But then no one's doing anything.
I do agree with people in chat, though, saying things like crossplay and cross-save. Again, case in point, like you said, Chris, I've got a high-level character on PS4 that I'd like to bring across, but also on the other side, I'd like to maybe see some sort of cross-play with other platforms too, particularly with PC. I think, Richie, you originally had plans cross-play with PC, didn't you?
Yes. I care more about cross-play than cross-save, to be honest. Because for me personally, I'm unlikely to buy a game in 2 places.
Yeah.
So I don't really care if I can transfer my save or not. But being able to play with people on other platforms, it's something I want to be able to do.
I think it's just nice that that Gearbox are playing ball, I suppose, really, and it shows that we've actually there is an established relationship with Stadia now, because one of the things I suppose I was really concerned about beforehand was the fact that we had such a period of silence from Gearbox about what was happening with Stadia that you sort of it makes you wonder a little bit. Are they just sort of like, oh, we've pushed the game out, who gives a shit? Like, what's the point of carrying on with this? But now we've actually had some movement. We've got some updates now. I think it's good to show that there is a relationship there and there is some sort of conversation going on. Yeah. Whether that's Stadia bugging the shit out of them behind the scenes and saying, come on, where are the updates? I don't know.
I kind of wonder, is it just easier for Gearbox to just hold off? We're dropping this DLC day and date across all platforms. We'll do the updates at the same time.
It's just a timing matter, really.
Just for it to ease rather than having to patch stuff when they've got a big update coming anyway. Just do it all at the same time.
Yeah. And in the words of Google, coming soon.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
Trademark.
You know what? We are now level across all platforms, so it might make it easier.
Could do. Watch
Yeah,
this space.
it would be a shame if new content going out was also then delayed by another week and it almost had to stack up to be dropped again.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. So Borderlands news, thick and fast, gone into that there. Thanks for joining us in the chat, a few extra people as well. Cross-save, cross-play conversation going on there. Moving on to the next story then, we got another information kind of leak almost off the back of the Ubisoft earnings call. We had expansion coming for The Division 2, which is the Warlords of New York. It was outed on Xbox early March, they suspect, for the release date. But in with the trailer cuts and the news articles, it had right at the bottom in the small print, coming to Stadia soon. So there's lots of rumours, the rumour mill started up, and people are essentially thinking now this is going to be the next bunch of game announcements that we're going to get from Ubisoft. So I think The Crew 2 was also tied into that.
Yeah.
But what brings it to light is because the new Division 2 content is dropping, is that going to be day and date with the Stadia release to kind of give it that injection of energy, and you've got that reason to jump in? Because The Division 2, if anyone out there who's played it, is very much a live, in-the-world moment game, so maybe being a little bit behind, similar to how Ghost Recon's been affected by it. If you miss that initial startup, you're not at that same level. If your friends have already started playing it, you need a jumping in point. And if the Stadia launch ties in with the Warlords of New York DLC, which they've announced in the video, brings your level up to match, this could be a great tie-in, which is why the kind of Stadia rumour now is going to be early March.
I mean, somebody's just said in chat as well that if you Google when it comes out to Stadia, it says March the 6th. Now, you know, it's one of these things that we do have to sort of take it with a pinch of salt because we have no confirmed source on that. So unless we have people behind the scenes who are leaking this information, it's sort of one of these things that we have to basically, you know, sort of gauge based on what is out there. So maybe it is early March, maybe it is. Now, interestingly, they just announced a new major update for it, didn't they, as you said?
Yeah. So
we've also seen on different platforms in particular, the price of the base game has dropped dramatically.
Oh, yes.
Like dramatically.
$2.99 you can pick it up for at its lowest.
Yep.
Which, does that add fuel to the fire that it could be a free pro game?
Well, I think there's some discussion about that because, again, we know there is a lot of support for Stadia from Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And I think Ubisoft are the kind of company to possibly make that sort of brash decision. Quite possibly.
Their prices drop, even on the likes of Nintendo Switch. Their Rabbids game, I noticed the other day, was on a discount for about £11.
Okay.
Now, Nintendo titles, exclusive Nintendo titles, notoriously hold their price like the world's going to end. They're not going to let that go.
The first parties do.
Yeah, I know, but with it being a Mario title, specifically titled Rabbids, it's very rare to see that price down to £11 of all things. So Ubisoft really drive home the bargains. You can pick up like the likes of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
If you're patient out there, which I know anyone in the chat who's a gamer, it's not really one of the traits that we're known for, being patient. If you hang fire on pretty much any Ubisoft game past the 4 or 5 month mark, you can pick their amazing AAA titles up for bargain prices. So with the Division dropping with the Warlords content, I'm just really curious, with it being $2.99 elsewhere, is it that much of a stretch to be a free game?
I don't think it is.
And then similar to Metro Exodus, the game was free this month. The Sam Story DLC is purchasable.
I think that's exactly
it's
the
like
model we're going to use. Here's the game for free. By the way, the DLC's here as well.
So yeah, DLC, the Warlords pack could be what, $11.99, £15 upwards of, if you enjoy the game for free. Remember, we say free, but it's $2.99.
Yeah, but it could be the same sort of situation we find ourselves in with Metro Exodus. Like, the game could come out to Stadia, maybe charge in an initial period to try to get some, like, day one sales, generate a little bit of revenue for them, and then maybe they might look to push it in, let's say, I don't know, May, June, so maybe like leave it a few months and then push it out for free, but also then bring the update with it as a day one release. Who knows?
I think at the moment, for a lot of games, we have to be aware of when do they want it to drop, because we're at the end of the financial year. Do they want it in this year's or next year's? Where do they want the money? And that is a big consideration for games when it comes to the shareholders and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, most of the information that came this last week was from shareholder earnings calls. where they kind of lay out the
It's the right time
roadmap
of
for the
year,
next
yeah.
year. Yeah, it totally is. I think, in the chat, D. Werner points out as well, he's a sucker for DLCs, bought all the DLC for Metro and Rage 2. So evidently that model, it works to get you in the door at a decent price, and you are more willing to give up more of your cash, essentially.
I'm literally the opposite. I very rarely buy DLC.
But have either of you two played The Division 1 or 2?
I watched a lot of videos and video footage, and I even watched a lot of streamers play it on Twitch as well. But again, I have to say, I'm sort of agreeing with some people in chat. Descent in 1976, he said he's had enough of AAA games and all their DLC, surprise mechanics, and pay-to-win crap. I do sort of feel that way myself a little bit. And again, there's a lot of games that I put to the side just because I'm not that interested in it. But, you know, I don't knock games that have a decent player base. And I know The Division does, once again, another Tom Clancy title, but it does have sort of like a respectable following. So,
yeah, it very much does. So my history with The Division, I played the first one.
Yeah,
got the platinum. Told you I play games, but I didn't have a look at any of DLC. I got in day one, I think. Played it with some friends. I loved it. Again, I'm very much a single campaign player. So again, I played it for the most part on my own. When you get overwhelmed by a few people, you do suffer. You can be taken down in groups, and again, once you join in with a couple of friends, a couple of random people, went through the story. Not really that large of a story, if I'm honest, but The Division 2 pretty much picks up where the last one went off. Okay. Virus, the dollar flu, whatever it's called, not coronavirus, anyone out there? Don't panic. It was nothing like that, but essentially, yeah, it's the same things continuing at Washington, D.C. By the looks of it, the Warlords of New York expansion for Division 2 is going to bring back essentially elements of the first game. Okay. The rumour is it's going to be separate maps as well, entirely going back to New York.
Yeah.
So my guess is they're going to just use some of the skins and kind of mesh network from the first game.
Okay.
Bring that over and utilise that a little bit, but if it makes the game larger, takes it back to an iconic city like New York, the gameplay is really fun. It really, really is. It's very similar to what you get from most live-action games at the moment. The more people you have with you, the more fun it is.
It's quite a tactical shooter, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to be quite tactical with how you watch your ammo and your perks. And
I do like these sort of tactical cooperative shooters, but only with select people. It's not something I'd be able. I like jumping in online and just picking up like a pickup group and
yeah.
So it's why I didn't really jump into it.
It's definitely something that benefits from like squad play with actual friends, not random people, because then you can coordinate your attacks better. You can plot your. It's essentially the same as Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but with a kind of different story element to it. I think they actually suffer by being too similar. Both Tom Clancy, both very, very similar visually. Just set in different worlds essentially.
Yeah.
Different like locations, I should say.
Speaking of different worlds.
Speaking of different worlds,
is
that you segueing into the next story?
Segueing into the next story.
Very different world. So if you're listening again to the podcast for the first time, we do touch on other stories outside of Google Stadia, especially when they're as relevant as this one. So we touched on this last week's episode, episode 20, and it was the big fallout from GeForce Now. Lots of praise, lots of news. They shit on Stadia quite a lot. So anyone in the chat who's a big Stadia fan, I'm sure there's a few of you out there.
I don't think Nvidia did. A lot of news sites jumped on it.
Yeah, no, we're going to call out Nvidia right now and say you are shitting on Stadia. No, that is not the case whatsoever. Nvidia have not targeted Stadia for this.
A lot of news sites did though.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
I got a bit salty about it last week.
Not publicly. So yeah, anyone in the chat who we've tried Nvidia GeForce Now as well. We've had a little go. I've had a go with the free hour window. It worked fine. I don't have a massive Steam library, as I alluded to. I'm not a big PC gamer, so I didn't log in and there was hundreds of games for me to play. However, some interesting news this week. So we had a statement from GeForce Now, and I'll read it out word for word because it's quite interesting, and then we'll drill down into it a little bit there. In the chat there, Nvidia is a disgrace. That's a bit harsh, Caleb. That's a bit harsh. So the statement was, as we take GeForce Now to the next step in its evolution, we've worked with publishers to onboard a robust catalogue of your PC games. This means continually adding new games and on occasion having to remove games, similar to other digital service providers. Per their request, please be advised Activision Blizzard games will be removed from the service less than a week after launch. While unfortunately we hope to work together with Activision Blizzard to re-enable these games and more in the future, in addition, to the hundreds of games currently supported. We have over 1,500 games that developers have asked to be onboarded to the service. Look for weekly updates as to new games we're adding. So in a nutshell, gentlemen, a lot of the library disappeared in less than 7 days.
I just want to point out, it doesn't technically have a library.
No.
It's a utility that allows you to play games that are in a different library. And Activision Blizzard basically went, what are you doing that for?
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a conversation. I doubt there's been a conversation beforehand. They've just relaunched the platform.
So the first thing Activision knew of it was, loads of people are playing our games and we're not getting any money for this.
Yeah, what's going on here?
That's a bit curious.
And bear in mind, they've just been in talks with YouTube.
They've sealed a deal.
Yeah, they sealed the deal for esports with YouTube. And as I said before, I would be surprised if there isn't Stadia conversations going on there.
I think it's very interesting for a big player like Activision as well to be able to have such an impact on a service as well, and to say something like, to just literally come out and be like, yeah, do you know what? Fuck this. Let's get out of here. You know,
pull the cord.
Yeah,
parachute.
I'm almost hoping, as someone who's invested in Stadia, that was Google prodding them.
Well,
if we're in talks with cloud gaming exclusivity between us, what's this about?
I believe the reported deal between Activision Blizzard and YouTube. Google or Alphabet, or whichever company you want to look at it, YouTube in particular, was sitting around about the $160 million mark, and I believe that gave YouTube exclusivity to any esports broadcasting within that time. So that covers Overwatch League, that covers Call of Duty, that covers Hearthstone. It literally covers some of the biggest esports titles out there.
Biggest games, full stop.
Absolutely.
Not even that.
Absolutely, especially in certain markets.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really laugh because they're also not on Stadia.
No, so, I know, but is it a precursor? I mean, I don't want to speculate, but I've been very vocal again from the beginning that I want to see games by Blizzard on Stadia, things like Diablo, things like Overwatch. Those two in particular. I think it's a ballsy move by Google to pay out for that. But I think it's the right move. I definitely think it's the right move.
Yeah, I think it's just in the way it happened in such a short space of time. Last week we were talking about the praises of GeForce Now, how it compares to Stadia. And again, anyone out there who has trialed it, it's a good service. Like, as Richie said, it's more of a utility to your existing library. But it does work. It's using very similar concepts to what Stadia does.
My saltiness last week wasn't around the platform itself. It was around quite frankly, in my opinion, lazy comparisons between the two platforms. And people going, oh, Stadia's dead, look at this. Yeah. Which is just not true.
And a lot of it harks back to where you get your content from. Because there's a lot of people, like I said, myself, I'm not a PC gamer. I don't have this great library. So when I logged in, I had like
a bit shit.
Yeah, there wasn't like that big like, oh, there's my library.
Yeah.
So if you're that average Joe on the high street who's looking to get into gaming, and you're not that clued up on PC gaming and all these things, I mean, Nvidia, do they really promote themselves? I usually see them in the PC shops that don't have a very public presence.
Yeah, I almost feel like they should have used this technology and pitched it to Steam as an add-on to Steam, or pitched it to Origin or to Epic.
Google.
But rather, because it is more of a utility. If they went to Steam, go, look, we have cloud streaming technology which can work, is compatible with your platform. Let's go into business.
I mean,
together.
Steam tried to do that with Steam Link, and for what it's worth, the idea of having a box in another room connected to a TV and allowing you to stream from your PC to that box, then that was cool. But I think because I use Steam Link at home as well to actually get, if I want to play games in my Steam library in my bedroom, for example. I have a small little computer Raspberry Pi plugged into my TV, and it's got Steam Link installed on it. So what it does is it basically just streams what's on my computer to that box, but it does it in Steam's big picture mode, the big picture mode, which is like its full screen UI that you can go through, sort of like similar to any other console, really. But
doesn't that mean to play you have to have your PC on?
Yeah, that was the biggest letdown with Steam Link, is the fact that you had to have the host PC with the games on. Now, Steam could look to evolve that sort of practice by teaming with someone like Nvidia and getting involved in that sort of thing. And I think that would have been possibly the better business deal, rather than Nvidia just going like, right, okay, look. I think what Nvidia have done here is they've panicked a little bit, because they've realized that people are moving towards cloud computing, and they've gone, shit, we make graphics cards for gaming PCs. if people aren't using gaming PCs to play games anymore, what's our purpose? Why do we exist?
Yeah.
And I think that's why they've sort of had to make this snap decision to go, shit, we need to get into the market. We need to do this.
It's not. I don't think it's a snap decision.
No,
you don't.
It's been in beta for a long time.
This has been years of planning.
I mean, nothing happens. I mean, Stadia's been years in the planning.
Sorry, the one thing I can't forgive Nvidia on is the bloody time limits.
They are very questionable. So for anyone who's not aware, who didn't watch last week's episode, tune into last week's episode. Yes, you get the free version is a 1 hour time limit, and then you essentially have to log out and log back into your window. And the paid version, which is the $4.99 if you get through the queue, is 6 hour, 5-6 hour, I think the time window. So again, it should cover most gaming catalogs. But you were saying last week, Richie, that if you're paying for a service, you shouldn't have to log out and log back in.
To me, it just shows that they don't have the server capacity to run the service properly, which means they're pretty much relying on people going in the service and then not getting annoyed by all the queues and only being able to play for an hour.
And again, I think that comes back to server availability for them because they haven't got the infrastructure to compete, and I don't think they will have the opportunity to be able to compete with something like it. So I think going back to what Richie said, or what Richie, your opinion of the whole idea is, it's not a competitor to Stadia, it's a utility, isn't it? And I think
a good one.
Yeah, looking in chat as well, it seems like the general consensus is that sort of thing. We know, there's a lot of phobia regarding Stadia. YSR is saying people who dislike it have no reason to dislike it. We talked about that on a previous episode. We talked about it's because Google are a new player in the industry that people immediately want to shut it down because people don't like change. No. People are resistant to change.
I think one of the things is Google stumbled through the launch window.
Yeah,
and
it could have been better.
Because of that, the narrative is that Stadia is terrible, and people just buy into narratives.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of the journalists do just buy into the narrative and just go, well, it's anytime they find any negative story, because negative stories sell.
But I think in the near future, perhaps we may touch on it later, there may also be other players coming to the table who might end up being the big villains, shall we say, who come to it. We'll see. A
certain former bookseller by any chance?
Quite possibly.
Bookseller. Waterstones.
Certain trillionaire might be coming in and splashing his cash all over us.
But yeah, a lot of people in the chat, again, like you said, Tom, are impressed by GeForce Now. And I think there's also, I think Martin's point out, it's just too fidgety. And that's what I found. And back to what I was trying to make a point of earlier on about your average Joe on the high street. Everyone within the GeForce Now community, I'm sure they've got plenty of podcasts, not quite doing a 24-hour live stream, however. But our community with Stadia, we're all quite new to this as well ourselves. It's a brand new platform. And we're all we're small fish in a large pond, essentially, at this point. Yeah. And you are going to get people from the outside who look in and just go, you're not as good or as big as our current favourite brands that we're very passionate about. Yeah. I'm a big PlayStation fan. I'm a big Sony fan in general. Okay. Same with movies, Marvel and music. You get passionate, like you said, Tom. It's very human nature. It's in our instinct to defend the things that we love. And it's very easy to shit on, essentially, something that's a lesser, inferior, or just small. If anyone's got a little brother or sister out there, you picked on them loads when you were kids. Yeah. It's exactly the thing. Yeah, they played Tails on Sonic the Hedgehog. But the reality is, it's too fidgety. So if you're average Joe, how many of you people in the chat have tried to explain Stadia to your family, your friends, your colleagues, your co-workers?
Definitely your colleagues, Chris.
Definitely my colleagues, yeah. And the wash over their face of, okay, so where's the box, or how does it work, or what's the internet requirements, and that's Stadia. So imagine trying to explain GeForce Now, or you log into a browser, then you link it to your Steam library.
What it sort of reminds me of?
Which brings up a different browser.
It reminds me of old people in the internet. It's sort of like, what is it? Like, I don't get it.
These mobile phones, they'll never catch on.
Yeah, so, touch screen. Technology is stupid. Computers, it's
I must admit, I hated touchscreen when it first came out.
Everyone did.
But to be fair, it was terrible before the iPhone.
Yeah.
It was. So to kind of wrap a little bow on this story, we are fans of Nvidia GeForce, we are fans of Google Stadia, we're fans of, I think, just future technology in general.
Fans of technology and fans of gaming, fans of anything that improves my experience.
Yeah,
I mean, I teach the bloody subject at school, so I've got to be a fan of it. Otherwise, what am I doing?
And I think the reality is, we're all in the same boat together on this new adventure of streaming cloud technology. That it is the future. Yeah. We can deny it and fight it as much as we want, but the reality is, yeah, your physical libraries, as with every industry, music, video, cinema, it's all going that way. It's more affordable, it's cheaper, and things like updates just don't exist with it.
Yeah.
Well,
But
yeah, that's we're talking back to Borderlands briefly. Switched on and could play with the new stuff.
yeah, which
Instantly.
we'll get on to that.
downloads, nothing. It was just click and there I go.
Yeah, but we can't overstep the mark that, again, there's still a lot of games missing from the Stadia library, which is hopefully this time next year, when we glance back into it, it's going to look slightly different.
Sorry about that. I was just noticing one of the comments in
yeah.
chat there from Tommy, just mentioning the Sounds of Stadia t-shirt, the Sounds of Stadia hoodie we have over here.
I do have a Sounds of Stadia t-shirt. It's over there, but it was interfering with the green screen.
He's lying. He's
I don't know
not.
what you're talking about. What green screen, Richie? This is you know, we're
Oh yeah,
living,
it's a hover couch.
it's the hover couch,
Hover
and we're
couch.
living within the technology.
Yeah.
Cloud couches.
Cloud couches.
So just to wrap that one up then, another few points key from the story are, you've got to remember, Nvidia also doesn't have the publishers like Capcom, EA, Konami, Rockstar, Square Enix. They're not there either, and now Activision Blizzard have pulled out. We're all on a very similar playing field, and we're hoping to just grow together. Let's play nice with our friends.
All right.
Moving on then to the next story. Prince of Persia is back.
Boom.
But not in a way you're hoping.
Nope.
We mentioned last week our hopes and dreams for the rumoured Ubisoft AAA titles that are coming out in this financial year. Tom, you put your flag in the ground on I'd love to see another Prince of Persia game. Here we've got it. It is Prince of Persia, Dagger of Time. And just to give you a rundown, everybody watching at home, almost a decade after its last appearance on home consoles, so they're driving home the message we've not had a new game in a while,
No.
Ubisoft's much-loved Prince of Persia series is being revived. You'll probably want to keep your expectations in check, however. It's returning in the form of a virtual reality escape room. So,
Okay. I'm going to interject here, okay? First of all, I love escape rooms, and I actually do love VR. So do you know what? You fucking bagged it there, mate. Absolutely.
Sold.
I'm done. I'm in. I'm sold.
will you buy the DLC once you leave the escape room and they offer you popcorn, branded drinks, a little sand timer?
The after experience.
Yeah, keep it going. Take it home
Is
with
it
your
coming
little...
to GForce Now?
No, it's
Yeah.
probably not. So, yeah, to give you a rundown, so it says Ubisoft's first Prince of Persia VR room escape room is offering, subtitled Dagger of Time, tasks players with reaching the hourglass chamber of the mysterious Fortress of Time, last seen in 2004's Warriors Within. So there's a game tie-in
Yes.
already.
Yeah. Okay.
At the behest of Kylina, the Empress of Time, there's an evil magi to be stopped, and an army of sand monsters to thwart along the way.
Okay. Love me some sand monsters.
Who doesn't love sand monsters? Spider-Man 3, everyone.
I hate sand.
Gets everywhere. So essentially it says here, Dagger of Time will require teams of 2 or 3 or 4 players to work cooperatively. We've been talking about that couch co-op. You can do it in person now. And each explore the temple's different towers, virtually climbing and vertically playing a role in the experience, and puzzles can be solved using the titular artifact's ability to stop, rewind, and fast-forward time. That sounds like an interesting concept to bring to VR. So do you just have to walk? Do you think they just, some bloke pops his head in the door and goes, right, back to the start. You failed this part.
Right.
Rewind.
Reset
You've all got to
the time.
walk
Come on.
moonwalk style.
Like solving puzzles, like you could go back in time, so you have to do something in the future. Then that says exists in the past, so you can get past certain obstacles.
That would be pretty interesting.
You
like
remember
a time mechanic with escape.
Have you played
room.
Ocarina of Time?
Yes.
The
yeah.
Spirit Temple.
Yes. Okay.
That sort of idea. Maybe not as 7 years time travel, but a couple of hours.
Now, I thought the two of them were going to lambast this, and now here they are sat on the couch thinking of how good and grand this could possibly end up being.
Like fun.
Yeah, I'm not knocking this at all. I actually really like the Prince of Persia games, and okay, you might think first of all, oh, it's only a VR title and so on. Yeah, okay, you could always go AAA with things like that, but at the end of the day, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, I could go for it. I could. Maybe not a full 50 quid sort of title. Probably more around like the 25-30 VR mark, maybe.
Okay.
But I'd be willing to drop 25-30 quid on it, I think. The problem then is I don't have any sort of VR to actually play it on. So then I've got to invest in something. Do we know what platforms it's actually releasing on yet?
So it's been developed by Ubisoft Dusseldorf in Germany,
okay, Dusseldorf.
which I didn't know exists, but Ubisoft are all over the globe.
Yeah.
We've got some news. They also created the Assassin's Creed VR room. Beyond Medusa's Gate, and Escape the Lost Pyramid. So the team have obviously made previous games. It's not the first foray into VR titles.
Yeah.
But it'll be playable in over 300 locations around the world, and additional venues will be added on the Ubisoft website.
Right. Okay.
So keep your eyes peeled for Prince of Persia, The Dagger of Time, which is quite a cool name.
I think it'd be really cool to see Prince of Persia or game developers getting involved in. I don't know if you've heard of The Void, an organisation that they have. There's a location in London where you go to experience VR setups, but it's in like a physical realm. So you put a headset on. You usually put like a body vest on as well. They give you something to hold, and you experience it actually walking around rooms with things you can interact.
Yeah.
Where with you see what is inside the game and so on. But in reality, you take it off and it's just like a grey plastic, like just literally just like
styrofoam. Everything's styrofoam. Yeah,
definitely.
Graffiti on walls.
But I'd love to see some sort of tie-in with VR and that kind of thing.
It's a cool usage of VR to escape room stuff. Sounds like a very good experience.
I think so.
Quite unique.
Yeah.
But would you prefer a game?
I've never played any of the Prince of Persia games.
Prince of Persia.
You know what? Bring a collection. I'll try the collection. When I told you before, when Uncharted, I didn't play any Uncharted games till PS4, and I played 1, 2, and 3 back to back, and I loved it. I'm quite happy to do the same thing again with Prince of Persia.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
Interesting news.
Yep.
Do you want to drop this in? What you found here, Richie?
Yes,
just off to the side.
Can you bring up the video, Tom?
Oh, that's an interesting
shot.
That is.
So we've got. Are you going at the start?
We've got breaking news.
Right.
We've got breaking
news. We're going to try and do
news.
something on the fly here, guys. So bear with us with this. This is we're doing it live.
We're doing it live. So breaking news. This is the great thing with the live show. Our news is not 5 days out of date like it sometimes may be on a Monday when you can check us out on all podcast platforms. When we say breaking news, don't leave. Stay. We're going to bring up the news for you right now. Don't open up another Google tab on your phone or close us down. If you've not got YouTube Premium, we'll disappear. Stick with us. We're going to bring it up.
Just keep vamping, Chris.
Just keep vamping. Tom's our techie guy. I can't see the chat anymore. You're joining us, or just me.
This on the fly, so bear with me here.
I want to shout out Antonio who brought this news to my attention.
Thank you, Antonio, for jumping into our live stream and bringing us some current pressing news.
It's news I'm really looking forward to as well. So
why don't you talk about it now and I'll get the footage up for you.
Okay, so I don't know what the story is because I've been reading notes and talking to these two lovely gentlemen.
The story is Google have just dropped a Doom Eternal trailer.
Yep.
Hey. We have a date.
Have a look.
Let's watch.
We do actually have a date, which we'll save to the end of the trailer.
Excellent. Google Stadia.
We do now have. Where is?
It's on the Stadia's.
What is
actual channel?
They don't have.
I can't see the chat. Don't leave, please.
Yeah, don't leave. We're working on this.
Can they see this screen?
No.
Right now. All right, we're just going to try and find the video. There it is.
I just want to point out, Google don't have a Stadia formal YouTube link, and we do.
This is true.
Ah.
All right. Bear with me here, guys. Bear with.
So, for those of you in the chat, Richie, if you can just call people out, shout them, not call them names, call them out. Just actual,
just abuse the
let's
chat.
appreciate. I saw some people in the chat who follow us. If you're new to the channel again, you can follow our Twitter, which is twitter.com/Sounds of Stadia. You can also check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ you guessed it, Sounds of Stadia, where we upload videos, podcasts, sometimes Let's Plays. We've got a Tomb Raider series on the moment, so it's not quite as hectic and as hellish as Doom is, but we have a damn good time playing it, and Lara Croft, I can tell you right now, does go through hell in that game.
She does.
So Richie, chat, who have we got?
We've got quite a lot of people actually involved in the Stadia Super Saturday as well, so I want everyone to send them as love as much as you send us.
Send all the love.
Yeah, send all the love to everyone in the chat. I don't know.
Who have we got? Familiar faces, Richie. Shout them out.
Let's have a look. I've seen Ben Moxham came quite late, so you know bad books now, Ben.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
B-Mox.
Yeah, we were waiting for you, but you were late, so we had to start without you. Ashes isn't there as always, been there with us since day one pretty much. Stadia Arcadia's in there.
Are we got We're live, Richie. We've got it.
We have got it.
So here we go. So
in case you didn't actually see at the end there, we do have an announced date for it.
Yeah.
Shall we wait till it arrives?
We can vamp until then. We can. So this video live from the Google Stadia channel, you can now see what is Doom Eternal. Yeah. A nice little montage clip of gameplay here, which I still have to say, this looks bloody epic. As far as gameplay trailers have gone, the Doom Eternal trainers have been, as I said before, it's literal video game pornography.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. This stuff. This is beautiful.
Can't wait to get my hands on it. Doom 2016. I never actually finished it, but I loved that game.
Yeah,
it was so fun.
Absolutely. So, when's it coming out? Let's find out.
I don't know. You tell me.
Doom Eternal. 3rd. 20th. The 20th of March.
They use the American dating system. It's 20th of March.
20th of March. So we are looking, a month away?
You know what?
A month away.
I'm still on for this Doom 2016 being a pro game for March.
Do you reckon? Okay. All right.
Think about it. Start of the month, you bring out Doom 2016 as your pro game. Later in the month, Doom Eternal drops.
But then how many people are going to buy it and then be really annoyed that it's free shortly
Doom
afterwards?
2016.
Oh, sorry, yes,
game.
sorry.
You're not giving it a brand new title as pro.
All right. Should we move on to the next story?
You mean you just want to end it there?
Do I?
Did we have a date beforehand?
I don't think
Nope.
we did.
We didn't have a date?
Nope.
Do we have a date on other platforms?
I don't know.
It's day and date.
Day one.
So no one had a date prior to this?
I don't know.
This was meant to be a release game for Stadia.
Oh, no, I remember that part. We covered it very, very extensively back in the day. Fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Well, there you go, bringing you the cutting news straight to your social feeds.
We're doing it live!
If there was any glitchiness in that, we apologise.
Yeah.
I don't even know what Tom does when he just does his magic and starts clicking around. Anyone who's familiar with OBS and the internet in general out there, well done. Well done for keeping up.
It's all part of the show.
It's all part of the show. But you know what? It's live, and hopefully we didn't lose like 50% of our viewer base there. But yeah, hope you're enjoying it. And let's dive back into Tom.
All right.
You've got to say it again now.
Do I?
Yeah.
Do I?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I?
What are we doing? Yes, say it again.
We're doing the...
No, I think Chris should say, because
No,
he never has on camp before.
I don't actually know it. Where's my piece of paper? Where there? I've got a piece of paper that had it.
Are you doing it? Are you doing it?
I mean, I can do it, yeah. So let's return to the super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka, gentlemen,
The news!
the news.
Oh, for God's sake.
I said it late on purpose.
Okay.
Anyway, let's return to the news stories.
Story?
Moving on to the next story.
Okay.
Straight from the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked event that took place earlier this week, we got some interesting news that our friendly rivals over at Microsoft, with their xCloud and Azure servers, Azure, Richie?
Is that a bit of the northern twang that's taken over?
Azure, everyone in the chat. Stadia source, Mrs. Trevor.
Trevor was the minigun, wasn't he?
Trevor is the minigun. He'll be back. He'll be back.
Trevor
Be back
You can
down.
buy him soon, probably.
Don't worry.
Where's
Anyway,
Trevor?
Xbox and Samsung have teamed up.
Yeah, they have.
They want to bring down Google
Apparently
and their
so.
Pixel phone. But yes, so announced on stage at the Samsung Unpacked event, Microsoft had partnered with Samsung to work on Xbox cloud streaming in games. So the Samsung Director of Strategy, Mr. David Park, spoke about the deal on stage, stating that it will involve a premium cloud-based game streaming experience.
Okay.
Sounds familiar.
Yes.
While no specific information was revealed surrounding the partnership, it's fair to assume that it will involve Microsoft xCloud Initiative, which we know very, very well. That's your premium experience, which is currently in beta. Or it might be the Samsung's phones. More details expected later in the year, naturally. Samsung also revealed, obviously, two new phones. Well, actually, a lot more than two new phones. They announced the Galaxy Z Flip and an entire range of Galaxy S20 phones.
Wasn't the Flip announced by mistake at first?
Oh, everything gets leaked well before
Yeah,
the actual
well.
thing, anyway. But in regards to the phones,
The two-screen one.
The one that, not the one that folds in half.
Yeah.
But
That's
this
the
one
fold.
Is a flip phone. We've gone back.
Yeah.
We've come full circle to flip phones.
well, for anyone who's not aware, yes, Motorola already did it last month with the
Okay.
Motorola Razr,
Right.
returned to 2020. The
Razr
Razr returned,
Wow.
yeah, and it was very much a flip
Wow,
phone.
okay.
I don't think you could be able to get. I actually had Pac-Man on my original Razr phone,
Okay.
and it worked very, very well. But not to step aside into the world of mobile
This is a
or
Stadia-centric
mobile. This is a
podcast.
Stadia-centric podcast, mostly. Anyway, mostly. But yes, so they announced a variety of phones with very, very high specifications, as you can imagine, market leading, some would say, just like streaming and cloud initiatives. So it makes sense that they've partnered up with Xbox. Now, what do we think this is? So again, just to reiterate, a premium cloud-based streaming experience. They've teamed up, no doubt, for some kind of exclusivity. What do we think that is? What do we think that
I
means?
think it's just xCloud on Samsung phones.
Do you reckon? So,
Exclusively?
So
Seems
what we basically trying to, let's unpack this then. So what we're basically seeing is, are we basically saying that Samsung now can only run xCloud, and that they will deny Stadia.
Deny. Well, I doubt it.
Isn't Stadia
Because-
already on some Samsung?
It's
Yeah, I
currently
mean,
been...
okay, all right.
I think it's exclusive the other way. I think it might be more exclusive for Xbox being on Samsung.
But that seems like a crap move by Microsoft, because then that's sort of saying like, oh, we're only going to go to Samsung. Like, fuck Apple.
It depends how much
Fuck.
money Samsung will give them.
Or the other way, Samsung have a very big market share of the entire global
Samsung have-
mobile network.
It might be exclusive for Android, not exclusive full stop. So it might be still fine with Apple.
They do a lot of tie-ins. A caveat of this news story as well is they've said that Forza Street is coming to Samsung mobiles this year
Okay.
as well. So it's basically a spin-off of the Forza Xbox series.
So is that a mobile game?
It is, yeah. It is,
Okay,
yeah.
a
You
mobile
can get it on
game.
PC, I believe, but it's
Right.
very much, it's aimed at mobile-centric.
Okay.
Just to give you a bit more detail, so they've also said this is the beginning of our gaming partnership with Xbox, said Mr. David Park. Both Samsung and Xbox share a vision to bring great gaming experiences to mobile players around the world. With our 5G-enabled portfolio, the entire new range, and Microsoft's rich history of gaming, we're working closely together to create a premium cloud-based game streaming service. You'll hear more about that later this year. So again, they're drilling home very much the message that this is a partnership, a premium cloud-based, which has got to be xCloud, hasn't it, really?
Yeah.
But it's intriguing because obviously Microsoft aren't really in the mobile business anymore. Windows phones, anyone?
Wow.
At least it's not a BlackBerry. The beloved BlackBerries.
They had the time and place.
They did have a time and place. So essentially, we've got a little nugget of news there. We're not too sure what it means, but no doubt it's just more competition
Yeah.
for Google Stadia, Nvidia.
I don't know. I've never been one. I don't have, even with Stadia, I have no interest in playing it on my phone.
Okay.
Again, it depends on the type of person you're trying to get in, because millions of people play Fortnite on their mobile
God,
device
I
now.
understand why Google going after it. It's just, for me, it's just I'm not interested.
Yeah, I don't know, because to me, I sort of like I'm a lazy piece of shit sometimes, and I just like to think about, like, you know, get to the evening and get in bed, but I still want to play games. Maybe I could just bust out my controller, throw a claw and my phone, and just blast away at Stadia.
I don't think I've ever had a phone where the battery's going to be good enough, because towards the end of the day, you've got no battery left. Like,
Yeah.
I actually I know where you're coming from, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so addicted to Tetris 99, because I can literally just pick my Switch up and then just lay back on this couch and just play.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We'll see. I mean, in the image they've got a very similar claw device, which you've been able to buy for years, attached to a new Samsung Galaxy S20, whether it's the Ultra 5G, the Ultra Plus. Who knows? But essentially, we're going to get more news as time goes on. I'd imagine once xCloud comes out of beta, essentially, we'll see these announcements and these partnerships be a little bit more fleshed out as time goes on. But if you want to check that out, check over to Samsung's website, where I think they've got a little story piece on there. Next story, just want to take on a little side mission just to bring Stadia to life. No, this doesn't mean Call of Duty's coming before you think we've got another live exclusive in the moment announcement. We really are. We did question putting that up on the big screen.
We are constantly scouring the news, so if something does come live, we will literally drop it, as you saw.
You've got a job, keep an eye on the news.
Just in case.
Get yourself a job as a reporter.
But what I wanted to basically highlight is we're trying to talk about Stadia, and obviously this day is entirely about the community and what Stadia brings and the benefits, and everybody who's in the chat who's experienced it so far, one of the key benefits that's always overlooked when they come to cloud gaming is the file sizes. So everyone who does play Call of Duty on their other preferred platforms potentially may have noticed that Season 2 dropped recently, and with it came some massive update patches. So to give you a quick
massive news.
So to coincide, to give you a rundown, gentlemen, we've got the PC base game of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It's 108 gigabytes. 108. The Xbox base game is 86 gig, and the PlayStation 4 base game is 64 gig.
Okay.
I still think the kind of standard, correct me if I'm wrong, for PC gaming at the moment for hard drive size is probably about 1 terabyte.
Yeah, that sounds
So
about
on
right
the
to me.
base game, it's 1/10 of the entire storage capacity.
That's nice.
You have 10
Yeah.
games, and that's it.
So what are
But
you
you can't.
uninstalling for the latest update?
I haven't got it.
I guess that's the question, isn't it, really?
But yeah, it's a nice little side mission though, just to drive home the message. The Season 2 update is for PC 62 gig,
Okay.
so more than half of the actual base game. So there you go, Richie, clear some more stuff out of your PC hard drive. Xbox is 68. compared to the base game of 86. And the
Okay.
PS4 one is 51 gig, with the base coming in at 64. So the update for Season 2 on PS4 is almost the same size as the
That's
initial game.
insane. That's
Now,
insane.
if this game was on Stadia, we're going to theorize now, think of it currently sat in your Stadia library.
Activision are working on it, we believe.
How big would the patch update be, Tom?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps absolutely
You know,
sod all.
Actually, I want to correct you there. It's probably 67 gig. Which is the
However,
PC version, but it's
Okay.
not on your computer.
exactly.
Do that.
And this is what if anyone is in the chat and watching along who's not familiar with Stadia, this is the key message, the key driving point we keep trying to get home, that all the games we've been playing recently don't need updates at all.
Yeah, we touched it earlier with Borderlands. Like, we just jumped straight in.
Yep. Yeah. It's literally just, you're right there, Chris.
Yeah, the microphone just kind of started leaning to areas where I didn't want it to. I was very conscious
Technical
of the-
difficulties,
of being
guys.
very muffled all of a
Crotch
sudden.
mic.
We'll just
mic.
vamp while he fixes it right there.
Yeah.
I think it's quite. Oh no, it's going. It's
I'll
going.
just hold it like this.
It's one of these things that again we're seeing word of in the community. We know it day and date. Like as soon as a new update comes to Stadia, you don't have to sit there and wait for 3 bloody hours to download things. Like when you've got a 50 gig, 60 gig, 70 gig update, in the case of what's going on here, we don't have to worry about it. Like those of you who invest in Stadia, there's nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. It's literally done day and date. All right.
I'm fixing it.
That's fine. You
Righty tighty, lefty
righty tighty,
loosey.
lefty loosey. You see your problem now, don't
It's
you?
got righty too tighty, and now I think it's
gone too far round.
yeah,
Yeah,
Well, we've got a
it's
backup
not-
stand if we need it.
It's not great.
wiggling around over here.
We've got a backup
I'll
stand.
fix
if
it
we need
later.
But anyway, that brings us to the final story. Final story of the new segment, which is again, be wary. This doesn't mean there's an. I'm very aware now that all of these background images look like it's breaking news. House are developing. No, we don't say that. The DICE Awards were earlier on in the week, and we just wanted to highlight again. We know they're not on Stadia, but we want to talk about other gaming news that is maybe relevant to Stadia. The biggest thing for me was just that Untitled Goose Game took home Game of the Year at the DICE Awards. Untitled Goose Game not only messed up our stream, but it got Game of the Year at the DICE Awards.
It went meta.
Okay.
Very meta.
Very meta.
So if we look at that, it also got the Outstanding Achievement for an Independent Game, and it also got the Outstanding Achievement in Character for the Goose himself.
I think it's a bloody big win, isn't it, for an indie developer? That's massive.
To be fair, I think last year was a bit of a down game.
Maybe a down game, but you've got to think about.
Down, yeah.
Death
Look,
Stranding.
look, Death Stranding. I mean,
Control.
what does that say to Death Stranding? That's just like a big Kojima. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, Sekiro.
Yeah.
Which one as well?
Yeah.
It's a huge triple of towers, and they've all been washed away by a goose. By a goose.
By a goose.
Oh,
By a
oh.
goose.
So
Kong,
yeah,
that is.
crazy stories to come out of that. That actually does bring it to a wrap. I don't want to go too much into the DICE Awards because hopefully
Yeah.
this time next year we're going to look back and there's going to be a plethora of Stadia games there that are up for all sorts of awards. Best newcomer, best indie title, game of the year. I think it's crossed.
Yeah.
But yes, essentially, that goose can hopefully stay away from our stream until which what it brings us to, funnily enough. Now we've probably lost half of the chat to technical issues.
The timing is epic.
The timing for your questions. If you're in the chat now, this is your chance. If you've got any questions you want to throw out to us, do so now. Ask us. Let's talk about Stadia.
We're going to do quick fire round. So you throw us your questions. We'll throw it over to one of us and we'll answer it quickly. Yeah.
Center us with that.
You want to center us with this. You want to center.
We're either in the way of our own logo. Yeah,
We're
there we
still in the
go.
way of our own logo.
Give us your questions. BMox in the chat, you've got a question. I know it. I can see it's on your lips right now. Do you think Stadia from Burnt Toast Man?
I don't think Stadia will support iOS. I think iOS will support Stadia though.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
See what you did there,
I'm being
Richie?
pedantic, but
Being an arsehole, Burnt
If
Toast
so,
Man.
well, as I've said before, I use an Apple phone, so I really bloody hope they do, because otherwise, this is going in the trash. It's going to go.
I mean, you can sell it. You don't have.
Yeah, I suppose you can say that. Who wants to buy an
You know
Apple
what?
phone though?
part of the philosophy of Google Stadia is play anywhere,
Yeah.
and that includes iPhones.
Yep.
So I'd imagine it's round about the time when the base launches. I'd imagine they want that philosophy to be completely realised when Stadia base goes.
So when? The follow-up question is when?
I'm predicting. I want to say April.
Okay.
It's a new financial year.
Okay.
It seems that's the time to do it.
Right. Okay. So April, we expect to see, or I expect to see, I should say. I'm going to hold you to this, Richie. April comes and I can play Stadia on the go on my mobile.
And Stadia base.
Stadia base as well.
That's, I mean, it's a lofty
That's a
prediction,
bit
but
of a follow-on there, isn't it, really?
I think it's going to...
it's a lofty prediction,
Okay.
but I think
It's going to tie with this.
Right. Ben wants to ask, Destiny 2, do they make the base game free to play? So I'm assuming you mean free to play in terms of for base as well. So for Stadia base
Yeah,
overall.
there's been quite a lot of fire in other forums and groups and stuff where I think, because they've been quite particular about the wording, where they're not too sure whether the free Destiny collection that comes with the Premier Edition, the Founders Edition, whether when base comes out, if you drop down to base, you get to keep it. Or people signing up to base or even any other version of it, they retain it because it's not in your pro games list technically, and you haven't purchased it, so they retain it. So hopefully I'm getting that right, Ben. Did they make the base game free to play, or even just the collection?
I think they have to make the base game free to play because it's free to play on all other platforms. I don't think Google can go, no, you have to pay for that. It may have to be a different download, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you handle that if you already have the full, because everyone at the moment has the full collection. Well, those who were in from day one.
My guess on that would be yes, it's going to be free. I think they're going to continue their partnership with Bungie, and it's very much going to be the promotion push for base.
Okay.
So that when people are looking to get in with base and the marketing campaign kicks off in the summer months, if they can sort out cross-save, cross-play, I think that would be a massive advocate to get people to test Stadia out.
Okay.
There's no upfront cost. If you played Destiny already or you're a fan of Bungie, come and test out Stadia base. Yeah. Here's the collection. Give it a go. Bring your save file. That would be the most sweetest scenario. Test it out. And they've clearly got that relationship with Bungie. We know Bungie are independent of Activision Blizzard now.
Yeah.
So there's no chains shackling them to
They
that world of business. They can do what they want. And again, Google are going to throw money at them to sweeten this pot. And they did it at launch. Okay. Why wouldn't that continue through a base?
Next question.
Just following on for the iOS question, when for Android?
Okay.
I mean, it's already been trialled on Samsung phones.
Yeah.
There's a few people out there.
I think it's going to be probably version locked to a certain Android version plus. I don't know.
I mean, there'll always be the latest. It'll be like Android 10 or 9 minimum.
Yeah,
it won't go all the way back to your HTC Wildfire from 2009.
Yeah, this is my point.
Throwback.
It's like, it's what as long as your phone can install the Stadia app, fine. You're probably good. I'd imagine it's probably the same time as iOS. To be honest, I think they want everything in time for this.
Yeah, it's exclusive, obviously, on the Pixel range at the moment.
But there again, this is Google, and on the launch of the Pro Edition, the Founders Edition, they did backtrack on a lot of things quickly, so I may be wrong.
I think it'll be day and date.
It's a smart move. Yeah, it's a smart move.
All right, next question. When will it be possible to stream directly to YouTube? This is something that I really hope comes soon. It's something that we obviously were supposed to have some integration with at launch again, so another launch promise, should we say? But definitely something that I feel is coming. But when?
You know what? Touching on that, I don't think any console at the moment has a good native capture thing. I know on PlayStation, it's something like you recording. It's your last 5 minutes. It's like it's always bugged me. Why can't I just set a start point and an end point of my recording and just record my footage? Google with Stadia have the opportunity to do that basically completely into the cloud, straight into YouTube, and it could be so powerful for streaming.
Like I said, one thing I want to see them change with YouTube first before they actually push something like this live is chat integration. So things like the extensions they have on Twitch at the moment, I think, are a big part of the experience of streaming, and I do think that is something in particular that needs to come to YouTube in order for it to compete realistically. Okay, Chris, next question.
Holly says, "Do you love me?" No.
No.
Next question, Richie.
So David Wilden is asking, do you think they'll bring Chromecast support to not the Ultras, to the standard one? Now, Chris, I know this is so...
Yeah. I hope so. As a big advocate of smart technology and Google technology, my home is rigged up with 3 smart speakers, smart plugs, but more importantly, 3 original Chromecast sticks in my living room. It was my living room until I got my Stadia Ultra. My games room, the kitchen, and the bedroom as well. So that would allow me to jump freely between all other devices that I already own. So yes, 100%. It has to. It won't be 4K, obviously, because the stick doesn't support it. But you've got to imagine it's a case of a firmware update, and it comes out because the Ultra's quite expensive still.
Yeah.
And to roll it out to the whole concept of Play Anywhere, as you alluded to earlier on, Richie, is yes, phones are one thing. The home is where all the smart tech market is at the moment, and if they can push more Chromecast
A
sticks...
standard Chromecast is £30. Getting Stadia on them, it's £30 investment plus, what, £60 for the controller? 90 quid and you're good to go.
Yeah, this is it. This is the fight to get to the lowest price.
You bundle it, but I would, if it's possible, you cap it at 1080p. That's how the Chromecast is capped anyway. That's why the Ultra exists, because then they can go up to 4K with them.
And you know what's even better?
What?
Base doesn't get 4K.
Yeah.
So base is free.
Yeah.
You get a Chromecast that doesn't benefit from 4K anyway.
Okay.
You get your controller. The price of the controller inevitably going to come down over time.
This is a way to get presence in brick and mortar stores as well.
Yeah.
Because
interesting.
As much as I feel they are dying off, they still exist. People still go to them. Having your stuff in Game in the UK or GameStop in the US or wherever, people go in there looking for games and they'll see.
Okay. Quick fire to the next question. Atwill, who's my friend Tom, says, sorry if you answered this already. Is it likely there will be any exclusive games, as I think this will be the key feature of the next console generation? We have exclusives announced, but I believe they're timed exclusives, probably most likely at the moment.
I mean, we will have exclusives down the line
Of course
by
we will.
Stadia
Studios.
They're still in the oven at this moment in time.
You've got to understand that with Stadia being a brand new platform, like this time last year, we didn't even know it existed.
No.
We didn't know it existed this time last year. And so no developers, realistically, unless they had insider deals, would be developing exclusively for Stadia. Stadia has acquired a few studios and hired some people behind the scenes. We know that. We've talked about it on previous podcasts. But we do have Stadia Games who are developing, and they will be developing exclusively. But obviously, these things do take time.
They've already showed the interest in exclusive. Splitlings has come to the Stadia. Splitlings is coming to Stadia first as a timed exclusive. Guilt already is. And we're also getting exclusive modes like in Grid, the 40k mode, which CloudX are going to be streaming that after
they will be,
tonight.
Shout out to Cloud Gaming X, who will be streaming a 40-man race at 10 p.m. UK time. So in little under an hour and 25 minutes.
Yeah,
definitely. So we'll start wrapping up and moving on to some games in just a moment.
And by wrap up, we don't mean pull the plug like we did before.
That was the goose.
The entire stream.
It was the goose, Chris.
Was it the goose or was it Richie?
I don't know. I mean, I tweeted out just saying, "Oops, we're live again."
So just to explain to everyone watching at home.
It wasn't Richie, it was me.
It was not.
Well, I'm right in thinking it was caused because we unplugged one of the microphones and that closes everything down.
My microphone stand that we were using fell apart. So we tried to switch and Tom pulled the plug and it just all went to shit.
Yeah, I literally pulled the plug.
But we're back now.
Panic button.
Excellent. So that brings us on then. Before we switch up to playing some actual games, so hopefully everyone watching in the chat has played Stadia games before. We're going to jump in and test out a few. Trials Rising, Mortal Kombat. We'll probably stay off Farm Simulator. We've done that before. There is a video.
We're not going to go revisit Frodo?
No, we're not.
Before we do that, though, should we talk about a bit of a giveaway that we're going to be doing?
Yes, we should.
All right, so let's change over with the bat noise. The
bat noise.
Batman. All right, back in this view right here. To let you know that we are going to be giving away, right below us, right down here, Ghost Recon Breakpoint on Stadia. We have an official game code to give away. So, those of you who are on the Stadia platform, if you are interested, what do they need to do, Chris?
Simply jump into the chat.
Okay.
Not literally.
Not literally jump into the
Don't
chat.
jump into your computer screens.
head first, take everything down.
We take no liability.
In the chat, tell us why you love Stadia. Will you be subscribing to our channel?
The answer to that one's yes.
The answer to that one by default is yes. Check out our podcast, but essentially, yeah, just drop us in the chat. We know why we love Stadia. We've got a podcast on it. Let us know why you viewing it at home love Stadia. At the end of the show, we'll pluck out a winner from the chat. And the previous chat, by the way, if any of you put positive messages in there. Essentially, if you're taking part in today, verbally in the chat, we'll drop your name into a mug. Corporate sponsored mug.
It's not corporate.
It's not corporate sponsored. I stole it from work. Yes, we'll put your names in a mug. Good old school. We'll pluck one out. We'll pass your details over to Dan at StadiaSource, and you will be the winner of a Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint code.
Sorry, what game was that again, Chris?
That was Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon.
Did it wrong again.
It comes from this way, and it goes off that way.
It goes back
as well.
that way. It's gone.
Back in the cupboard.
It's gone. It's gone. There's nothing there anymore.
But yes, so simply
Get out.
put it there. So we've got Rusty, who's in the chat.
It's the future.
He's tasted. Hopefully that doesn't mean you've been licking your controller there, Rusty.
Yeah.
You just jumped into it. Well, we've got Nicholas Stamper says, being able to play games on all my devices and not have to upgrade my equipment. That's a win. I think that's what we found hands
well, this
down.
is, if in the early podcast when we were talking about why we're interested in Stadia, I was always interested in the hybrid nature. It works as both for PC gaming, mouse and keyboard, and the console, like both, and it means they don't have to spend thousands of pounds on a gaming PC.
Now, those of you who aren't current players on Stadia, I may have a buddy pass to give out. How about that? So if you are interested in picking up Stadia and you want a copy of Ghost Recon Breakpoint,
It's back.
I got it right this time.
come on,
Can you tell Tom spent a bit of time making this thing?
get out of here. Come on,
Down.
get out. Right. Then if you want that, stay alert and keep your eyes on our Twitter page. That's at Sounds of Stadia. If you follow us and you retweet our posts, you'll be in with a chance to get a buddy pass.
All of our posts or just one?
No. Just the post advertising this stream right here. Okay. But I am currently keeping track of people's names right here. What we're going to do is we're going to put your names into the mug for the code. We will draw it, and then we need to somehow get in touch with them, or have a way of being able to allow Dan to contact them. How should we do that?
I feel like you know the answer.
Oh no. I gotta figure this
you're
one out.
building up to
I'm trying to figure this one out.
You generally don't know?
No. We need to make sure. So, what we would say is the caveat for this is make sure you do follow us, because we are going to need to make sure we get in touch with you. So you can either follow us on Stadia. You can definitely follow us on Stadia
Smoke
at
signals, that's the
Sounds of Stadia. Smoke signals. Make sure you get in touch with us on Twitter at Sounds of Stadia. Make sure you subscribe. Click the little subscribe button, which is like way down here. Is it this side? Is it this side? Like down here near Chris's. The subscribe button.
Oh.
It's below. It's below.
It's over here. It's over here somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And we will pass your details on to Dan at StadiaSource, who has the code for you. But once again, last time I do this, I promise, we are going to be giving away a Ghost Recon Breakpoint game code for Stadia.
And a buddy pass.
And a buddy pass!
Yeah.
Who says we don't?
You're far too excited about this.
Yeah,
buddy
you're very
pass.
excited, Tom.
I've been really trying to give it away for a while.
Alright.
I've got no
Don't say
friends.
that.
No, I've got no friends.
I've got no friends.
I've got no
that's why.
Yeah,
friends.
it's true.
So
all
buddy
his friends
pass-
are in this
All of
room.
my friends already play Stadia, so what am I supposed to do?
Just to recap, Buddy Pass Breakpoint, simply drop it in the chat, retweet the Twitter promotion for it. We'll gather your details, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
But yeah, any excuse to reuse that again. Yeah, some great shout outs in the chat. Load times, opportunity to, I think there was a fun one further back up, which was saying, wife doesn't know how much I'm spending on money because it's all digital. Perfect answer.
She
Perfect
still
answer.
can see your credit card.
Take out a Monzo account or something as
Yeah.
well. Keep it separate on the side. They'll never. But yes, so what we're going to do now is going to make a small transition. Now that is the Sounds of Stadia podcast wrapped up. Yes, so that brings us to an end of the Sounds of Stadia podcast live. So thank you for tuning in and joining us for our first ever live episode number 21. Do not forget you can check us out on all the podcasting platforms, Spotify, YouTube Podcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify.
We are on YouTube.
All because we are on YouTube. Subscribe to our account. We'd really appreciate it. We're just three guys who really appreciate the new technology. We're trying our best to take this hobby, passion for gaming, and kind of elevate it to the next level alongside Google Stadia. Hopefully you enjoyed our gameplay, you enjoyed the podcast. We're just really passionate about it. Thank you for tuning in and taking part in the 24-hour live stream that is Stadia Super Saturday, brought together from StadiaSuperSaturday.com. Our friend Dan over there keeps plugging all that. We'd love to play games with you in the future, so by all means, tune in for future live streams and other events. But other than that, I've been Chris, thank you very much.
I've been Tom, and I'm getting that in before Richie this time.
Ah, you bastards. I've been Richie.